Okay, UFC 270 is in the books. Francis Ngannou retains his heavyweight title against Ciryl Gane. We're going to pick the bones out of this one now by none other than Tom Aspinall, who's had a big week himself. Firstly, Tom, what I want to know is, how does a UFC contender watch a big fight card from the States? Does he pull an all-nighter, alarm clock for the main event? Does he record the whole thing and enjoy it over some cornflakes in the morning?
No, I can't. I can't last. I can't last all night. I'm just going to fall asleep every single time. If I sit down for longer than like 5 minutes, I'm asleep anyway. So it's just, I just get up and watch it in the morning. Just like I'm not like a diehard fan. Do you know what I mean? I won't stay up all night. I've got small kids as well, so they tire me out as it is. So and I'm in training camp, so I am definitely not staying up. So I just watch it in the morning.
Yeah, I reckon some people would have got caught out last night because they might have thought, you know what, I'll stay up for this one because this is going to go in the first 1 or 2 rounds. And then it starts creeping to round 3, 4, and 5. And next thing you know, it's 7 o'clock in the morning and you've got to be up taking the kids to football, whatever you've got to do. But Tom, how surprised were you by the result of that one? And also, I suppose, the method of victory for Francis?
I mean, it just proves to you that anything can really happen in MMA, because nobody would have really predicted that Francis was going to beat him with predominantly wrestling, and especially a decision win as well. Like, that was the last thing that anyone really expected. So it just shows me that I just got to be ready for anything, and I've got to. You kind of have to remember that. Like, obviously, I'm fighting a tall striker next in Volkov, but it doesn't mean he's not going to take me down, and he's not going to do so. Like, I have to be ready for everything in this game, so I will prepare myself as such.
What sort of things do you think we saw from Francis there that perhaps we haven't really seen before?
Well, as someone like Francis is kind of, he's not similar to myself. Like, we have completely different styles, but he's got a lot of quick fights. So do I, and I know a lot of people think, they question my cardio, they question my wrestling, stuff like that, but. It's not the fact that I haven't got that in the locker. It's just the fact that I haven't had the opportunity to show it yet. And I would imagine, well, we've seen last night, it's the same with Francis. He's got good wrestling. His cardio's there as well. He's got good fight IQ, but we've just not really had, like, people just presume that because you've not seen it, you've not got it. But that's not always the case. They've just not had the opportunity to show it yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's normally at least one kind of jump out of your seat moment for a Francis Ngannou fight, isn't there? But it's not normally a sweep. I mean, he showed some elements of his game there that I found really impressive, and certainly maybe a bit naive. Didn't necessarily know he had in the locker.
Definitely, and it was nice to see that he's using his brain a little bit more in terms of, like, he's using his fight IQ a lot better. His game planning from him and his team seemed to be really good, and he didn't just go out there like throwing bombs. He managed his energy very well, and that's something that you only really get from experience. So fair play to him. He looked great. He looked amazing.
Does it also show the importance of sticking to a game plan? We kind of saw that in the Figueiredo fight as well before it, how they were constantly saying stick to the game plan. We were hearing from his corner in between rounds, very clear, succinct messaging of what he had to do to win that fight.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're in there, your idea isn't the best idea. That's why you got coaches. Otherwise, you just go and do it on your own. So, I mean, he's definitely matured a lot in there, and he's doing things right. So he's listening to the game plan, he's following it, he's executing it, and he looks great by doing it. So fair play to him.
Yeah, not only that, but apparently he's done it with an injured MCL, an injured ACL as well. I mean, we saw the knee pads on. Clearly, were causing him some trouble in the build-up to this fight. Do you mark it down as the most impressive of his career?
I didn't know anything about the knee, to be honest. That's the first I've heard of it. So if he's done that, that's even better.
Yeah, he mentioned it said I forget what is a grade 3 MCL tear and then an ACL damage as well. So, I mean, they're significant injuries, aren't they?
It sounds like it. I don't really know what that is, but it sounds. But you know what? When you trained hard, you're going to be injured. anyway. Like, that's inevitable.
Yeah.
When you train hard for 8 weeks, especially being a heavyweight, like, you got to spar obviously other guys your size. It's a lot of impact, so you're going to be injured of some kind anyway. But yeah, for me, that was definitely his most impressive performance, because he looked like massively improved. Like I say, maybe he has improved, and we've just not had a chance to see it before. So I was very impressed with it.
Yeah, on the other side of the octagon, a first career defeat for Ciryl Gane. What did you make of his performance? What did he get right? And maybe more importantly, what did he get wrong?
I think he did. He did great as well. He looked great in there. Ciryl Gane's I rate him very highly. He's very skillful for a heavyweight, and he moves around. Like, everyone knows everything that's good about him. But he just made a few tactical errors, like going for the heel hook. But that's what he thought was best in that moment. As somebody who's made errors in fights before, trust me, you will do exactly what you think is the right thing to do. He's not done that for a laugh. He's not done that for fun. Like, he thought that obviously he was going to get the heel hook and advance his position and possibly finish the fight. So again, it's just a small tactical error. I'm sure he'll learn from it and come back. To, people like Ciryl, they're going to be around for a long time, so he's gonna go again for sure.
Is that the moment you think that he'll be kicking himself about dropping down for the heel hook?
I would imagine so. Yeah, I mean, that it seemed to be quite even, didn't it? It seemed to be like 2-2 going into the fifth, and then when you're tired and you've got a guy of Francis's size on top of you, like, it's going to be tough to shift him in the fifth round. So I don't think there was much scramble left in either of them, really. Like, they were whoever like ended on top in that particular scramble would have probably won the fight. So just a small error, and I'm sure he'll, like you say, he'll be kicking himself, but he'll learn from it, and he'll move forward, I'm sure.
Yeah, and as you say, heavyweights can go on into their early 40s. He's only 31. Do you reckon we'll see him again right at the top of the division?
Definitely. He's going to be around for another, well, as long as he wants, really, another 8 to 10 years if he wants it, and possibly longer. I don't know what he wants to do with his life, but yeah, he's very, very young in his career, so he's not got a lot of miles on the clock at all. So he'll be around for a long time, I would imagine.
Yeah. Jon Jones was tweeting last night saying he's, after seeing those two in action, he's looking forward to breaking some records of his own, suggesting that he's going to come back and take on Francis at heavyweight potentially. How do you reckon Jon Jones gets on against this version of Francis?
I don't know with Jon Jones. It seems to be a lot of talk and not a lot of action. So I want to see some action. Like, I want to see. He seems to be doing a lot on Twitter, but I want to see him actually in there as a heavyweight and see. Like, I'm a massive Jon Jones fan. I love Jon Jones. I love his skills. I love the way he manages range, and he's so skilled everywhere. But I want to see him not on Twitter and in there, like, doing it. So I think, I don't know. I'm just intrigued by it all. I'd love to see it.
Do you think he can cause Francis a lot of problems?
I think he can cause anybody problems, because he's miles more skilled than anybody at heavyweight, really. But he's just the size is a blood for him, and will he be able to carry the weight? Because that's a big difference. When you're putting on 30, 40 pounds, whatever he's put on, you've got to carry that around with you for 5 rounds. It's not going to be as easy as people think. I would be interested to see. I know if I put a little bit of weight on, if I put 10 pounds on and then start training, I can feel the difference straight away. So I'm really intrigued by it. Like I say, I'm just a bit of a aggravated fan who wants to see him get in there and do it rather than just be on Twitter all the time.
We saw at the end of the fight, Dana White didn't do his customary awarding of the belt to Francis. I mean, it's been quite a public to and fro between the two and contract negotiations and whatever. I'm sort of keen to know what you've made of what's become quite a public dispute and a very unusual situation now, where you've got the champion talking about potentially not fighting on with the organization.
I kind of like it, to be honest, as a fighter. I think that it's a dangerous sport, and when you're bringing in the numbers like Francis is bringing in, and bringing in the eyes that Francis is bringing in from all over the world, especially his continent, Africa, you should be financially rewarded for it. And if he's not happy, then he should voice it. The same as anything really in life. Something you should voice your opinion. Like you've got the right to tell people that you're not happy in any context of life, not just in business or fighting or whatever. Like if you're not happy with something, you should tell people about it. And if he's not happy and feels like he deserves more, I think he's right to tell people that he deserves more.
If he was to walk away, how big a blow would this be to the heavyweight division, to the UFC in general as well?
I think it would be a big blow for sure, because he is the man at heavyweight at the moment, obviously, after we've seen what he did last night. So it would be a massive statement for, I don't know, against the UFC, really. It would be interesting to see how that all plays out. I don't know what's going to happen next, so I'm intrigued.
He's talking about moving into to boxing potentially. How do you think his striking would match up with the top guys in the division? Your Furies, Joshua's, Wilders, Usyks. I mean, can he be competitive in a boxing ring against these kind of guys?
In all honesty, no, he can't be competitive. It doesn't translate. As someone, I'm only speaking like firsthand here, as someone who has sparred with a lot of high-level boxers, as someone who sparred a lot of rounds with Tyson Fury and myself, I don't think that MMA for MMA translates to pure boxing, as well as a lot of MMA fighters think it will. Them guys have been doing 12 rounds forever. They know how to control their energy. It's not just punching. Like a lot of boxing for MMA is predominantly just punching. And I know that boxing is just punching, but there's so much more to it. Like they're so clever with the moves that they do. They're so clever with how they can control their energy for 12 rounds and when to go and when not to go and how to get out of the way of shots and how to ride the punches and turn the punches over and hit to the body and a whole load of stuff that MMA fighters don't understand.